I was having trouble remembering nouns. I think I went from postpartum straight into perimenopause. I thought I was dying.
Dr. Vonda Wright is a double board certified orthopedic surgeon and an internationally recognized authority on active aging and musculoskeletal health.
At 35, we can invest in building shields to get in front of these things because it's not inevitable.
Her work bridges sports medicine, the science of aging, and women's health. Her most recent book, Unbreakable, A Woman's Guide to Aging with Power, is a roadmap for longevity and aging for women. Welcome, Dr. Wright. Your new book is called Unbreakable, A Woman's Guide to Aging and Power. Congratulations. It's amazing. I read it cover to cover in one sitting. You say that aging is a superpower. What do you mean by that?
I mean that in the common mantra of society, we view aging as this horrible situation that takes us from vitality to frailty. The reality is, in our world where we're seeking to be natural, aging is the most natural thing we do from the moment of our conception to the moment of our death. But it's the how we age in between. And I say that aging is a superpower because look what comes with it. Growth, both physical and mental, wisdom. With every day that we go through things and do hard things, we carry with us the memory of those successes or failures. And that gives us confidence that we can take control of the little things for the next step, whether it's, the physical things, taking a walk to gain control, to solving a problem in our household. That only comes with aging because none of us know how to do it when we're born.
So the book really gets into how we need to maintain strong musculoskeletal health for longevity. Obviously, there are huge differences between men and women.
Yeah.
I realize this is very intricate, but give us the high level on what those differences are and why women have been overlooked in this conversation.
Right. Exactly. So as an academic surgeon, I had the privilege of doing some of the research we talk about in this book. And I always partnered with brilliant PhDs as we're looking at a very cellular level, stem cell level, are there differences between beings born with XX chromosomes and XY, which is the genetic difference between the sexes, right? So as we look at how XX chromosome people, XY, men and women age differently, we see that men will age on a very slow, steady decline in a lot of tissue types, like across the board. And women, once we come through what I call the critical decade, which is about 35 to 45, where we have peak muscle mass, we have peak bone mass. We have not yet the critical catastrophic changes that happen as our ovaries run out of eggs and therefore run out of estrogen. We have a steady decline until we have a cataclysmic decline because so much of how we age is due to estrogen. And at 40, it's estimated we have less than 1% to 3% of our eggs left, therefore precipitous decline in this critical anabolic hormone.
Let's talk about your personal perimenopause story because you go into that a little bit and you were sort of at the height of your career, you had baby, and then all of a sudden, like so many people, they say, I feel like I aged 10 years overnight.
And I didn't know what to do about it, which is ironic given 22 years of formal education, all this aging research, that I didn't know what was coming. So it's exactly what you said. At 40, I was in top shape. I was training for races. I had a child. I breastfed that child until I was almost 42, until she was done with me. But I think in retrospect, and so much of what I've learned about my own pathway is looking back, because I wasn't aware at the time. I think I went from postpartum, where we're getting over those wildly fluctuating hormones, straight into perimenopause, meaning hot flashes, night sweats, brain fog. I talk often about the fact that as a surgeon, in the place where I am supposed to be most acute, and still skill-wise I was, but I was having trouble remembering nouns. And I also had heart palpitations in the middle of the night that I thought, and my family dies of heart disease. I thought I was dying, but probably something that in retrospect, I see now that I didn't see then. I was enraged all the time.
Right.
Like out and out rage, like screaming rage, whether it was outside projected or inside. And that's just not me.
Right.
And I didn't know what to do about that. And sometimes I caught my own self off guard. I'm like, wow, where'd that come from? And I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. We have come to accept clogged arteries and cognitive decline as quote unquote part of getting older. What's your response?
If we do not step in front of the time bombs of aging, if we just let time run its course in the passive physics way that energy rolls downhill, certainly that's what we see. But when we look at aging in our population and say, oh, everybody's going to get heart disease, everybody's going to get clogged arteries, we have to realize that our population in this country still, on the whole, does not do purposeful movement every day.
Yeah. You talk about the time bombs. Walk us through what those are.
There are, within the medical literature, 12, 13 hallmarks of aging. And so as pertains to being unbreakable and really wrapping our heads around things that we can control, I chose 6 of them to talk about in the book. And I call them time bombs because I do not believe that we are the victims of the passage of time. I don't believe we have to be that way unless we allow these time bombs such as mitochondrial dysfunction, stem cell degradation, inflammaging, the changes in our GI system to go unchecked. We can observe the natural cellular processes that happen, but then also observe, because the research has been done, not so well done in women as men, has been done to show that physical exercise matters, how you exercise matters, what you feed yourself matters. That's, come on, the lifestyle things you and I probably talk about all the time. And yet, I think that there are so many reasons that people don't pick up that mantle to build the shields. And not to take us in another direction, but if you have an answer to this, please give it to me. I've been trying for 30 years to understand what it will take for people to understand that they are worth the daily investment in their health, that they're worth the work.
And do you feel like women take this, or do you feel that women react to that sort of information differently? Like the idea that they aren't worth it, or that they're so used to taking care of everybody else that they come last?
I think that some women truly feel like they're not worth it for whatever traumatic burden they carry. I think there are people who truly believe that. For women who think they are worth it, I still see, including myself, probably every woman we know, at certain times in our life, everything else matters more. And because, I talk about this a little bit in the book, we feel fine. Like we're getting along, we do our thing, we're showing up, we feel fine. But fine is usually still tired.
Right.
And
but it's
stretched.
Also, you go from sort of, 35 to 50, like, you're sprinting.
So fast.
You're in your sort of peak building years, child rearing, all of that, career, family, the whole thing, that all of a sudden, you realize, maybe I thought I had done some of the sort of
I thought I was keeping up.
Up, but not necessarily. You say muscle is the engine that drives health span. What do you mean by this?
Muscle is the engine that drives health span on so many levels. It drives it metabolically by secreting hormones that affect the rest of our body. It has a huge effect on glucose metabolism, which we know when we're oversugared, that leads to inflammation, which leads to disease. But it is also important in longevity because the strength of it, by getting into the gym and lifting weights and building more and building stronger muscle, will keep us upright. Because sometimes people break and then fall, but most of the time we can't hold ourselves up because we're too weak, and we fall and we break. And there's something I see when I'm taking care of patients all the time, is that they've been fine in the community until they fall because they don't have enough muscle mass.
mobility can determine whether you move into assisted living or get to live in the house that you raised your children in. What do you mean by that?
Oh, let's take one example, and it ties back to how we started this conversation. 70% of all broken hips are in women. The minute a woman breaks her hip, she has a 30% chance of dying in the first year due to the complications, usually things like muscle wasting, dementia. And if you survive, 50% of the time, you will not get to go home because you are no longer independent. You can't get up from a chair by yourself. And that forces your family into a terrible decision pathway. Do they have to hire someone full time to live with you? Do you move in with your daughter or your son? Do you have to move into assisted living, which is very expensive in this country?
Yep.
And when your money is gone, then the reality is you have to apply for Medicaid.
Yeah.
And that's tough decisions.
Yeah. And it's just quality of life
It is.
falls off a cliff.
But that begins in the critical decade. I don't want to get stuck on the end of life, remembering that at 35, we can invest in building shields to get in front of these things because it's not inevitable.
And you can start at any point.
That is the miracle of this body that we are given, is that there is no age or skill level when this body will not respond to the positive stress we put on it and build muscle and build more function. In fact, when I was starting out my aging research, some of the first studies I read were on 90-year-old men in a nursing home doing exercises in a chair. And in 12 weeks, they increased their function by 150%.
It's incredible.
Isn't it?
What are the most popular misconceptions around fitness for women, and what do you prescribe?
I prescribe a very, it's not standard at all. Standard is just aerobic. I was going to say very standard. I prescribe a pathway that people can remember that covers all the areas that we need to address in midlife and beyond. And I use an acronym called FACE. I just will need people to remember so everybody can remember. Face your future. F is flexibility and joint range of motion. The natural history of our tendons, ligaments, and muscles is to get tighter and tighter. We need to make sure they're out to length so we don't get hurt and we're most efficient. A is aerobic training. I am not against aerobic training. However, we know that doing base training with lower heart rate most days of the week, coupled with higher intensity sprinting, and when I say sprinting, it's not about being on a track sprinting, it's about your heart rate. So we do base training, which is lower heart rate, and very high heart rate twice a week. It is that combination that is most metabolically efficient and then really moves the needle on body composition. FAC. C is carry a load. It's weight training, but listen, if I do not want not having a gym to be a barrier. I know women that carry buckets of water around, logs in their yard, and I'm going to tell you, women don't understand how really strong they are, and they go to the gym and they'll pick up little bitty light weights only to go home and pick up their 40-pound grandson or put something heavy on a shelf. So we need to give ourselves more credit. FACE, this is the one that is so critical that I've started teaching people. They're picking it up. We must retrain our balance and equilibrium so we don't fall down.
Proprioception.
And we
that's a
must
big one.
work on our foot speed. Those two things will keep us upright as we age.
I love that. Thank you so much. It was
pleasure.
such a thrill having you here.
Oh, it's my thrill.
Thank you.